of impossible safety, like impossibleness of safety, or dooming danger, or being doomed. I see this a lot as well. There's no point. I'm going to Jahannam anyways. Neither of these are how they were. They weren't like that. They didn't have a false sense of safety, and they didn't feel that they were doomed and they were never going to make it. They just had a healthy dose of humbling fearfulness and reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A healthy amount of it that kept their humility in check, kept their self-value in check. It kept their efforts and their sense of responsibility and work in the right amount. This is what we need. This is what we actually require. And I feel like we don't have that. A lot of Muslims, they have the basic knowledge of things, but that knowledge has not translated into the proper attitude. And this is what I'm going to be talking about over the next maybe a couple of weeks in the khutbahs. If knowledge does not translate into the appropriate mindset and appropriate attitude, then what good is it? What good is it? And you have to ask yourself the question is, did you learn it correctly to begin with? Do you actually know what you claim to know? And do you know it right? Because if it's not resulting in the proper attitude or proper mindset, then there's a fundamental problem that lies at the basis of how you learned it, or what you thought the outcome of learning it was going to be, right? And this is probably one of the glaring deficits that we have within our ummah today. Glaring deficits. I see it all across the board. It doesn't matter what the gender is, or what the age is, or what the cultural background is, or what the religious background is. I see it a lot. And it's hard to correct an attitude if there is conflicting information. Like, if I want to change someone's attitude, but they have that attitude because of a certain way of understanding their deen, then I can't change the attitude by just commenting on it. I have to actually go back and figure out, what is it that you were told that led to this attitude? Like, I have to figure, and it takes time. I have to figure it out. It's like you have this big bin of rubbish sometimes. I have to go rummaging through it to see, okay, what exactly were you told here that is producing this attitude? And it takes time, and it's impossible for you to do this for every person. So sometimes the way to do this is, okay, we're going to re-educate ourselves. Let's learn Islam from the basics. Let's forget what we learned before. I have to tell this a lot of times to people who are middle-aged and they learned Islam here or elsewhere. And I'm seeing that, okay, this is not helping you. Like, the way that you're practicing Islam is not helping you or your family or the people around you. You need to go back and kind of learn this again. Like, there's a problem, there's a deficit in how you were taught this right from the beginning. I don't know exactly where, but we have to figure it out. Because the ilm has to grant you your heart has to be in the right place, your mind has to be in the right place. It has to help you get to the right place, psychologically and spiritually. If it doesn't, and sends you in the wrong direction, then we have an issue, right? And this has to be addressed. And I don't know exactly how. Because most people aren't willing to relearn things, or to consider that maybe the way that they learned it was wrong. And that's just one of the biggest challenges. So we hear Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, and last time we went through the verses where he talked about the quantity, the quality, he talked about the methodology, meaning he was explaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قال ربي, right? He said, I said, يا قوم إني لكم نذير مبين أن يعبدوا الله واتقوه وأطيعون يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويؤخركم. He gave them the basic cliche presentation of what faith is. And then he said, قال ربي. And then you can hear Nuh alayhi salam speak to God. So this is why the first piece is just telling us what happened. Here's what Nuh did. We sent Nuh, told him to talk to his people. He spoke to his people. All right. And then Nuh speaks to Allah. قال ربي. He said, oh my Lord, إني دعوت قومي ليلا ونهارا. And then he says, ثم إني دعوتهم جهارا ثم إني أعلنت لهم وأسررت لهم إسرارا. So he says, I did da'wah to them night and day. So in terms of quantity of time, I did it all the time. I didn't take breaks. I wasn't lazy on the job. I didn't fail to show up. I put in my full effort. This was an ongoing process. But despite the fact that I did that, the more I did, the more I offered them, the less they wanted it. And the more they pushed me back, and the more they persecuted me for doing it. And then he talked about not the quantity, but not just the amount of time, but also the methodology. ثُمَّ إِنِّي دَعَوْتُهُمْ جِهَارًا. And I spoke to them publicly, in public settings. ثُمَّ إِنِّي أَعْلَنْتُ لَهُمْ وَأَسْرَرْتُ لَهُمْ إِسْرَارًا. And I spoke to them in groups, and I spoke to them individually in secret, meaning in privacy. Those who, some people don't like to be taught publicly. They don't want to learn in a public setting. They want the one-on-one, private setting to learn from. So he said, I did all this. I spoke, I had public talks where people didn't have to feel that I was speaking to them. They could just listen. I spoke to them in groups where they were comfortable. I spoke to them when they were alone at their homes. In terms of the effort, I did everything possible. I used all, time-wise, I used up all of my time, and I tried all the different ways. So that's him defending himself. That it's not that I was lazy, or that I lacked creativity, or they didn't try different methods. So what's next? What's next is the content. Well, what if you were teaching them something wrong? What if what you were saying was all wrong? This is literally what Nuh has to provide this report. He has to explain why he didn't bring a lot of people with him. Why Musa alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam and Muhammad alayhi salam will bring more people. And he's going to have a small number. He has to be able to explain it. So now that he's established that he was not lazy and he didn't lack creativity, quantity and quality was taken care of. Now content. Well, maybe you were saying something that was not my message. Maybe you didn't actually convey the message appropriately. See, this is actually seen as important by scholars of i'tiqad. So when you study aqeedah with me, at one point in the course, I talk about this specifically. Not because I want to talk about it, because it's a part of Islamic creed. Scholars have pointed out that if someone had faith presented to them in the wrong manner, in the inappropriate way, and did not have access to an appropriate presentation, they are not accountable for not actually following the message. This is talked about. This is talked about over 1,000 years ago. That if someone who has Islam or has the faith presented to them in the false manner, they're lied to, or they're told things that are not appropriate, or the person who is talking does not know what they're talking about, and they don't actually convey it appropriately, then if they don't follow this, then they're not accountable for doing that. Meaning, also the content of what's being presented has to be appropriate. And this is called al-khitab al-Islami, the narrative, Islamic narrative. This is an ongoing issue. We're going to hear the narrative of Nuh alayhi salam. And Nuh alayhi salam is centuries ahead of us. He was a few millennia ago, yet his narrative is decades and centuries ahead of us in terms of how he is presenting his message to the people who are listening to him. And unless our Islamic narrative picks up a little bit, makes we get some changes in how it's being presented to people, then it's just a matter of time before we lose the generations that are coming along. And the numbers start to, our numbers may increase, but the percentages will start to decrease. And I tell people, don't be happy with the numbers. Look at the percentages. And people are like, oh, look, the masajid are full. Yeah, the numbers are big. But look, what is the percentage? The percentage is not better than it was. The percentage today is not better than it was maybe a few decades ago. And this is just a simple reality. Numbers are higher because there's more people. And that's fine, but what about the percentages? No, we're not doing very well there. And a main problem for that is the narrative, the Islamic narrative. And here in Surat Nuh, we got to hear Nuh alayhi salam explain to Allah what he said. Here's what I said, just so you don't think I said something wrong. Here's what I said. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to listen to what is it that He knows, Jalla Jalaluhu, what Nuh said. But Nuh has to make his argument. He has to make this is what I said to them. Because if it was wrong, then Allah would tell him, you didn't, that's not what you should have said. That's not what I told you. We kind of talked about this a little bit in a previous surah, in Surat al-Haqqa. وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ عَلَيْنَا, right? بَعْضَ الْأَقَاوِيلِ لَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُ بِالْيَمِينِ ثُمَّ لَقَطَعْنَا مِنْهُ الْوَتِينَ فَمَا مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ عَنْهُ حَاجِزِينَ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this very, very heavy verse, He's speaking to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and of course he's not any of that. But وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ, had he made up anything. Taqawwala is where you say something on someone else's behalf and it's not true. That's taqawwal, taqawwul. Taqawwaltu alayk, meaning I said, Wallah, Muhammad said this, and he didn't. Taqawwaltu alayhi. وَلَوْ تَقَوَّلَ عَلَيْنَا, if Muhammad alayhi salatu hadn't said that we said something, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something that he didn't, بَعْضَ الْأَقَاوِيلِ, just a few sayings here and there, just added something here and there, لَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُ بِالْيَمِينِ, we would have taken his life from him with our strength. ثُمَّ لَقَطَعْنَا مِنْهُ الْوَتِينَ, and we would have severed his jugular, his carotid, using a very heavy wording. وَحَاشَ لِلنَّبِيِّ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ, for that to be the case. But I'm just saying this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَمَا مِنْكُم مِّنْ أَحَدٍ عَنْهُ حَاجِزِينَ. None of you could protect him from us. No one has the ability to protect. If he were to make up a word, say anything that we did not tell him to say, that he was not told specifically to say. And here Nuh alayhi salam has to make his case. So we're going to read together, inshallah, starting with ayah number 10, the khutbah of Nuh. This is, I used to give this as a, I haven't done this in years. I should do this soon, inshallah. Not too soon, because you just heard it from me today, but soon enough. It's khutbah Nuh. We do a khutbah, talk about khutbah Nuh. You want to hear a sermon, like an ancient sermon? The most ancient sermon you ever heard? Here's the most ancient sermon you ever heard. This is the sermon of Nuh alayhi salam. I guarantee you, you do not have a sermon that predates this one. Like, there is no such thing. We don't have, and if you do, it does not have a quarter or a tenth of the authenticity of this sermon. This is by the words of God Himself. We're listening to the khutbah of Nuh. It's a khutbah unlike mine that will take less than 3 minutes to say if you're going to say it. And again, the quality of what he teaches here, alayhi salam, is actually quite fascinating. So we'll read it together. Inshallah, you'll find the content to be worthy of your reflection. So ayah number 10, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فقلت استغفروا ربكم إنه كان غفارا يرسل السماء عليكم مدرارا. So watch out for the lam here. It has a kasra on it. So it's yursil, yursili. Right? So in its essence, it's supposed to be with a sukoon on it, but whenever in Arabic you have more than one silent letter come after one another, in sequence, then you give the first one a kasra, just to make the pronunciation easier. So it's yursili, not yursilu. And I'll explain why, inshallah, in a few minutes. وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا. So let's just start. I'll stop there for a second, then we'll continue. Inshallah. The khutbah goes until ayah number 20, by the way. So it's technically 11 verses altogether. That's all it is. So he starts saying, فَقُلْتُ, this is what I said. فَقُلْتُ, this is what I said. استغفروا ربكم. Seek forgiveness of your Lord. إنه كان غفارا. Indeed, He is the one who is most forgiving. So he starts out by pointing out an important ritual, and number two, pointing out one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which are both appropriate. But he starts out by talking about istighfar, which is something that we take for granted in our deen, and sometimes we don't contemplate appropriately. So I'm trying to point out for you why this is very important here. When he says, "Istaghfiru rabbakum innahu kana ghaffara," seek forgiveness of your Lord, because He indeed is the most forgiving. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا. And he points out 5 things as the consequence of doing this. If you do this, if you seek His forgiveness, and He is the most forgiving, meaning you will obtain that forgiveness. It's not something that you have to be scared you're not going to get. If you do it, you will get it. You will also, on top of the fact that you're going to get His forgiveness, يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا. The sky will be sent upon you with abundance of rain. وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ. And He will grant you and bestow upon you wealth. وَبَنِينَ. And progeny, children, meaning you will be both financially and socially supported. And the Quran, I've talked about this a couple of times, keep this in mind, that the Quran, the way the Quran kind of looks at the domains of existence, so whenever we talk about the financial or economical, mal is the word used, and when we talk about the social support, banin, children. It's just, for example, a yatim is someone who is struggling socially, not necessarily financially, right? What a team needs is social support. They lack someone to love them. They may have inherited a lot of money from their parents. Bruce Wayne, for example, right? And then, for example, al-miskeen And a miskeen is someone who lacks financial support. They may have a lot of family, people to love them, but they have no money. So the Quran talks about these two basic domains of the financial and social well-being, because they make up the majority of what our well-being needs. So يُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ, He will grant you the financial support you require, وَبَنِينَ, the social support that you look for, وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا, and He will grant you jannat, gardens, which is luxury, yeah? وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا, and He'll give you rivers, which is sustenance. The ability to continue to maintain the luxuries that you have, right? So basically within these 5 things, he draws a picture of a civilization being built, right? Like you're going from just sporadic people here and there to resources coming to you. You're going to have financial strength, you're going to have social strength, then you will have gardens, you'll establish land, and you'll have luxuries on that land, and then you'll have rivers that will continue to support that land. You're going to build something. You'll have something that you'll have a civilization that will strengthen you, right? So the question becomes, what is the connection between istighfar and doing all this? Now, we always enjoy talking about the mystic piece, which of course we all agree to. Of course. No one with a speck of aql and understanding Islam will deny the fact that when you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will grant you that which benefits you. No question about that. Anyone who denies that is an imbecile and has no idea what they're talking about. So I'm not denying that at all, but I'm saying that in the Quran, very often, most of the time, aside from that connection, there is a pragmatic one that sometimes we are failing to see. We're failing to see why, and when we fail to see that, what ends up happening is that the action we were told to do is stripped from its essence, and it becomes an empty shell, and then it stops actually working, and then it causes us to disbelieve in the mystic and the divine connection that it has. I'm not sure if that makes sense. There's a divine connection between you making istighfar and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granting you all of these things. But there's also a practical one. If you don't see the practical one, you don't understand it, then soon you will lose the divine one as well. And this is where we have been struggling. Why is that? If you understand what istighfar is, which is seeking forgiveness, what it means though, because we say the word seeking forgiveness, but you have to hit the brakes there and just stop a second so you understand what that means. What that means, it means that you have a paradigm that you see to be correct. There's a paradigm of behaviors, there's a group of principles and laws that you are identifying as being helpful, as being beneficial, as being morally superior or correct. You have to have that. In order for there to be any form of seeking forgiveness, you have to be able to identify that here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the right things to do. And I did one of the wrong things. And because I did one of the wrong things, I'm seeking forgiveness for that. Without this, you cannot seek forgiveness. Meaning, if you don't regret doing it, because you believe that what you did was wrong, then there's no value to using this term at all. At all. And I talked about this in the Tazkiyah earlier, and I've been talking about this for years. You cannot perform tawbah, because tawbah is really what istighfar is, right? Istighfar is just a piece of performing tawbah. You can't repent if you don't feel like what you did was wrong. It's impossible. So, if you've ever watched, sometimes in courts, they'll bring the person to apologize to whoever they hurt. And then, and the comments are always, what are the comments going to look like? Whether it was, genuine and non-genuine, right? That's what they're going to say. Even though nobody knows if it's genuine or non-genuine except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But still, as human beings, we can pick up on things. We can pick up on whether this person actually meant it or not. And it actually makes a difference in the sentencing. In many cases, it makes a difference if the judge or the jury feels that this person is actually remorseful for the mistake that they made or how they feel about it. And sometimes someone can be innocent, but they don't show the amount of remorse that they need to, and they get in trouble, or vice versa. But how do you show remorse if you don't feel like you did something wrong, right? And maybe to people you can lie, you can put on a show and people will believe it. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can't, right? And istighfar is meaningless, it's empty if you don't feel remorseful. If you don't, and not because you're going to be punished. No, but beyond that, beyond the fact that there's punishment, but that you did something that was wrong, that was sinful, that was harmful, that was incorrect. You can't perform tawbah from a sin that you don't feel remorseful towards. If you don't regret it, you're not going to stop doing it. You will continue to do this until the day of judgment because you don't really regret it. Not really. Now, you're respectful, so you will try to regret it. And you'll try to repent because the Shaykh is telling you that that's the right thing to do. So you'll do it. But you're not really going to get rid of it for as long as you don't feel it's wrong. As long as a part of you is like, I don't know why this is a problem. Why does God care about this? Why can't I do this? What's the problem with it? For as long as you think that, like if that's how you feel on the inside, if that's your comprehension of the topic, spiritually, then it's going to be impossible for you to actually repent from this, actually seek forgiveness for it, because it's not going to be just genuine. Come to Ya Rabb, forgive me. For what? What did I do wrong? This thing. Okay, well, why was that wrong? Well, because you said so. That doesn't go. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's not going to take you far. I don't really. Personally, I don't really care about it. But you seem to care, so I'm going to seek for forgiveness. No. Hold, pause right there and take a step back. You're going to get yourself in trouble here. You come to Allah. I was like, look, this action I think is fine, but you seem to think it's a big deal, so I'm going to repent for doing it. But deep down inside, I think it's fine. I don't understand exactly what the big fuss is on. No. You have to have actual remorse. Well, how are you going to have actual remorse? You have to actually have a set of values and principles that are clear to you, and you believe in, and you have embraced and taken on. Whether it's nadar haram, for example, or it's mal haram, or it's mistreatment of someone, or it's racism, or hatred towards someone else, or it's cheating, or whatever it is, or lying in business, or whatever you're doing. You have to have a set of values and principles that you have embraced that tell you that doing this is wrong. So when you do it, you actually feel remorse and you feel regret. And that will generate a willpower to actually stop this wrong thing. Now, I want you to stay with me here because this is going somewhere. It's not going to. So let's say that you've achieved that. Let's say that you've embraced Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's values and principles, what He taught in the Quran. So now you actually, when you perform the sin, you feel remorseful, that this was wrong. I shouldn't have done this. There's a part of me that is very sad that I made this mistake. Good. That will generate some willpower to change this. Now, what you're going to need when you to change how you behave is a plan. You have to figure out, okay, why did I do it then? I know it's wrong. I don't want to do it. I'm very remorseful for doing it. I can't believe that I did it. It's a horrible thing. I'm ashamed that I did it. How do I stop doing it? Right? So if you're truthful about this, you'll start looking, okay, let's analyze this picture. What am I doing wrong here? Why did I fall into this sin? Oh, well, I spent time with this person here. Or I didn't protect myself from this environmental, whatever it is. There's all these different things that can happen in your life that will make a sin easier. So you say, well, this is the main reason. It's spending time alone, staying up all night, or it's wasting time with these people here. So I'm going to remove that from my life. Spending time with this group of people only brings masa'ib, so I'm going to say someone wants to get rid of ghiba and namima, which is a very common problem, just backbiting. First of all, you have to believe that it's haram, and you have to be remorseful for it. And we have this conversation a lot with sisters, like, yeah, well, I feel remorseful about ghiba, but not about fulana. Not about that lady. That lady, that's okay. I'm happy to do it because she deserves it. It doesn't help. You're not going to get anywhere. You're going to continue to do this to the day you die because you actually don't feel it. Shabab who stare around at women, you're not going to stop unless you actually believe that doing this is harmful for you and it's haram. For as long as you don't really believe that, you're going to keep on doing it. You're going to keep on doing it forever because you don't believe it's wrong. Let's say you believe it's wrong. You want to get rid of it. You start, well, why do I do this? Well, when I spend time with these people, so you remove something. You remove something from your life, right? You make a plan, you remove something, that's how you seek forgiveness. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't accept your seeking of forgiveness if He doesn't see it to be genuine. For it to be genuine, you have to actually believe it's wrong, and you have to take measures to get rid of it. If you don't do both these things, then you're kind of, you're lying to God, you're making what are you doing? This is mockery. Astaghfirullah. It's almost like mockery. You're telling Him, oh, I seek your forgiveness, but I don't believe it's strong, and I have no interest in stopping doing this. I'm not going to try at all. I'm not going to take any measures at all. I ask people sometimes, they'll come and talk to me about problems. How are you going to stop doing this sin? What, you're just going to say, I'm going to stop doing this sin? You think that's going to work? You think just by saying it, you're going to stop doing it? That's not how this works. Nothing in life works like that. Bad habits don't die that way. Old habits die hard. You have to make real changes to your life. You need to bring in sometimes external support to get rid of stuff. But if you truly believe that this is a bad habit and it's a bad behavior, you don't want to do it again in your life, then you will take whatever measures are necessary to get rid of it. But you'll do it step by step. You'll remove factor number 1. I'm still doing it, but less frequent. Okay, good. Remove factor number 2. Remove factor number 3. Now take that, right? And that's what istighfar is. Take that and from an individual scale and put it on a communal scale. Because here, Nuh alayhi salam is giving a khutbah, he's giving a general khutbah to people. All of you together. Istaghfiru rabbakum. You need to, all of us as a group, need to seek Allah's forgiveness from our sins. Because if we do that, then a civilization will come from the ground. Water will come from the sky, and a civilization will come from the ground. We will have wealth, and we will have progeny, and we will have gardens, and we will have rivers. We will have that which needs to build an empire. If, as a group, we're able to identify where our shortcomings are, where our problems, where we fail as a community, whom we're failing and how we're failing them. We identify the problem. We believe that this is a mistake, and we start taking steps towards changing it. This istighfar will build a civilization. Because this means every time, every day, you get a little bit better. If you perform istighfar appropriately, every day, you get a little bit better as a person. You improve a little bit as a person. Right? Because you're identifying mistakes, you're seeing why they're happening, and you're removing one of the factors that are making you do it. You're putting it aside. That means today, you're better than you were yesterday. Because yesterday you had 10 factors that were making you do the wrong thing. Today you have 9. And tomorrow, if you perform this again, you'll have 8. And the day after, and you'll get better. As a person, you'll improve. That is the value of it. That's why if a nation performs istighfar, it will, imagine a nation improving every day, identifying its flaws, its shortcomings, its sins, its bad habits, its mistakes, and every day getting a little bit better. This is what istighfar is. But we don't do that piece. We just do this. I'm not saying it's not important. No, I do it too. I sit down, do it twice, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. What I'm saying is, once you strip this concept from its practical side, from the essence of what it's about, then you end up with a shell of what it once was. And it doesn't really fulfill its purpose anymore. It doesn't fulfill its purpose anymore. It doesn't do what it was designed to do. It was designed to do something beautiful. It was designed to be a way of life where we are always improving. Because we are not people who shy away from our flaws or our mistakes. We're not like that. We will look for them. We will find our mistakes. And we have no problem with pointing them out and then showing remorse to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then finding a plan to get better and seeking His forgiveness as we do it. And if you do that every day, then every day you're a little bit better version of yourself than you were the day before. And if we all did that, then our community every day would be a better version of what it was the day before. And we will grow. But no. It's better to continue to fight over the same stuff every year. Almost like, it's like anniversaries. Anniversaries of putting out zakat al-fitr, money or burr. The Prophet ﷺ's birthday, every year there's a couple of anniversaries where we get to fight and hate each other, and because there's no interest in getting better. Every time the same problems occur, and we respond the same way, and we get the same outcome, and it's just rewind and just do it again, and just rewind and do it again, and the learning curve is so bad. I don't understand why. It's one of the, you think people ask me, why are you so angry? This is why I'm angry. This is what boils my blood. Is this the lack of ability to learn from the same pattern and the same mistake and the same outcome? We had this. This is something this is my village like years ago. And I hated this. This happened every year, every single year. At least 2 young men would have an accident on a motorcycle. Every single year. Either they would die or they would have injuries that would disable them. Every single year. Every year, almost, since I was there until I left, every year there's at least 1 or 2 people who are going to die on the top of a motorcycle because they're driving, they don't have lights, they don't have helmets, they don't have a driver's license, they're too young, they're driving in the opposite at night, whatever, they look at themselves. There's no learning curve. No matter what we did, we could not put a dent into this problem. We couldn't seem to make a difference in it. We just had to every year take someone down to the ER and declare them dead or declare them brain dead or bring them back with horrible disabilities. And it used to just, it's just very annoying. It's very difficult because we do have the intellectual faculties as human beings not to deal with this, not to have to live that way. And as Muslims, it's just the same problems. The same problems, same differences, the same quarrels, the same disputes, there's no change. It's actually quite boring. It's boring. I get asked the same questions. I get the same, objections for what I say, the same stuff. And after a while, you start feeling that you're living in one of those small cassettes where it's just going back, rewind and repeat. Rewind is nothing new. But why is that the case? Because we lack the base. Like I ran this, the Q&A sessions. I stopped it because I was starting to lose my mind. If I have to answer one more time with a meat question, I'm going to slam my head onto a wall. Every single week, the same question. Like, where's what is it? How are we living our lives? Are we just living our lives and then you don't stop and say, okay, I need to figure things out and go and seek basic knowledge in terms of what I eat? How is this question asked every week? I tell people, ask me a question I haven't asked before, so I take you out for lunch. It's the same stuff, and it's all there. We just don't want to access we don't want to learn it. We don't want to take time and actually, this piece. But Nuh alayhi salam starts his khutbah with this basic concept. Istaghfiru. Just learn this. Islam doesn't have to be complicated. It's not complicated. The Shara of Allah subhanahu is not complicated. You can learn one or two things and it'll get you there. Just learn Istaghfiru rabbakum. To seek forgiveness from your Lord. You do this, and He is the most forgiving. He'll always forgive you. If you're genuine about it, He'll always forgive you. Do that and watch things get better. Some of it will be through divine intervention, and most of it, will be just through basic improvement. If a community continues to improve, their lives will get better. They'll make more money. They'll have more social support. They'll have more luxuries. It's just basic logic. If a society is struggling, and they're able to look at their flaws and start repenting from these flaws, getting rid of them one by one, remorsefully, where they see that they're actually wrong, then this community will, within a short period of time, transform, become something way better, a much better version of themselves, year after year. Year after year, we get better and we get better. That's why He said all this. يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ يَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ يَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ. It will fix everything for you. Just start there. You have to start improving. We have an intrinsic, embedded system in our deen to just always improve, always get better. It's not huge steps. It's almost impossible for us to, the big, major acts of repentance that turn a life around are very rare. Most of the time, it's just small baby steps. It's small repentances. It's small seekings of forgiveness. Little things, just small adjustments, but make those small adjustments every day over a year or two and watch and see the difference in your life. We don't like that though, right? We don't like that though. We want the change as a me. We want to go to the plastic surgeon and make this look better. An hour a day, every day. It was just nothing. An hour a day of reading, an hour a day of meditation, an hour a day of cardio. Just small changes, small adjustments to your life. Spend 5 to 10 minutes a day with a family member, just focused on them, just talking to them about their lives. Just do that for a while. Small changes make huge differences over time. But you have to be able to be remorseful. That I'm not doing this is wrong. I have to change this. Then identify with a plan what I can make a difference in. What small adjustments I can influence. And then do that. And then the next day when you fail, do that again. Istighfar has within it, just so you understand, the concept of repetitive failure. Like it's accepted already that you're going to fail anyways. Like the concept, istighfar is saying you're going to fail anyways, and don't worry about that. That's expected. We know you're going to keep on failing, but do it this way. Keep on trying. Every time, make another adjustment and see if you can try and succeed. And you make succeed for a few days, and then it'll fail again. It's okay. Go back, drawing board. You've removed 3 or 4 factors. Try another change to see if you can succeed, and keep on doing that. And over time, you'll see. You'll go from A to B. You'll make. Yeah. You won't feel it, just like we don't feel when we're growing or getting bigger or getting smaller. But when you make a comparison in 2 points of time, you'll see the difference. And that's how he began, alayhi salam, his sermon. He began it by giving a command of istighfar. Why? Shouldn't he start by telling them who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is? Isn't that the first thing a prophet should do? No, Nuh was way ahead of the game here. Nuh gave them a system, a way of thinking about life in general, an approach that will make their lives better, regardless of whether they are strong in evil. Just do this and things will start to get better for you, because that's what people want. What do we want? We want these. Ayah number 11, 12, we want them. We want the sama midrara, we want the resources to come upon us. We want the amwal, we want the baneen. We want the jannat, we want the anhar, we want all this sustenance and luxuries and wealth, and we want it. You want that? All right, here, do this. And with time, you'll get all of that. And if you do it genuinely, you'll also get His forgiveness, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He starts with that. إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. You'll get His forgiveness. It's the most valuable thing in the world, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiving you. And then everything else is a bonus afterwards. A bonus that the nafs of the human being wants. We want it. It's putting the goal, putting the carrot in the direction of the goal. Right? It's hard to do that. Your nafs usually is pulling you in this direction and the goal is over there. So it's always an uphill effort. You're dragging your nafs towards what is correct because it won't listen. Every once in a while, if you can figure things out, you can get the carrot, you can get the nafs's carrot right in the direction of your goal. And now you can let your nafs do its work for you. You can get your desires and your whims and your instincts to actually do the work for you. Because not only akhirah you're going to get forgiveness, in dunya you'll get as-sama' midrara, and amwal, and baneen, and jannat, and anhar. You get all that stuff. That's what the nafs wants. The nafs doesn't care about maghfirah. Talking to the nafs about maghfirah is like talking to a 3-year-old about death. They understand nothing of it. The concept doesn't make any sense to them. They have no ability to comprehend what's being said to them. The nafs doesn't understand maghfirah yawm al-qiyamah. Doesn't make any sense to it. All right, doesn't have to. What do you want? Wealth? Money? Luxuries? Yeah, I want that. All right, do this. Do this. Follow this system. Make sure that you identify what's helpful to you, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands, what's harmful to you, which is sin. And then make sure you start decreasing this and increasing that. And if you do that, then you'll get all the stuff that you want. Now the carrot is aligned with the goal, and it'll just take you there. That was the first piece of his sermon. Let's move on to ayah number 13, where he continues, alayhi salatu wasalam, a little bit more. مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا وَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا أَلَمْ تَرَوْا كَيْفَ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا وَجَعَلَ الْقَمَرَ فِيهِنَّ نُورًا وَجَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ سِرَاجًا وَاللَّهُ أَنبَتَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ نَبَاتًا ثُمَّ يُعِيدُكُمْ فِيهَا وَيُخْرِجُكُمْ إِخْرَاجًا وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ بِسَاطًا لِتَسْلُكُوا مِنْهَا سُبُلًا فِجَاجًا And these verses to me are fascinating, and inshallah I'll try to convey why I think they're so beautiful. So he says, he continues, alayhi salatu wasalam, this sermon by saying, after he commanded them to perform istighfar, explaining why this is helpful. It helps you in akhirah, innahu kana ghaffara, he'll forgive you, and it'll help you in dunya, will grant you all the stuff that you want, that you are not listening to me in general because you're running after them. It's like the people are running after dunya. Dunya. Ta'al ihdar al-jum'ah, ta'al ihdar al-dars, ta'al salli. I don't want to, I have to run after dunya. But come listen, I have a trick for you. that will get you the akhirah and get you the dunya. Just listen and then you'll get both. And you don't have to actually settle for one. You're not asked to settle for one. You don't have to settle for akhirah or dunya. No, you can get both. Listen to this. Just listen to this. It'll get you both. That's why Nuh alayhi salam was intelligent in his approach to these. He started with something that, regardless of who you are, you will benefit from this. It's a simple approach to life that will help you improve. It will get you all those things that you want. And he continues saying, "Ma lakum." What is the problem with you? "La tarjuna lillahi waqara." You have no intent. Al-raja here, raja is when you desire something. Tarjun can be translated as desire. But in Arabic, to desire something is also to manifest it, or to show, especially when it's something that you are capable of manifesting, or you're able to practice. So if it's something you can practice, in Arabic we use the word tarju, it's no longer that you desire it, it's more that you represent it, or you present it, or you show it. Right? So that's why he's using this word here. So مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا. Why is it that you're not manifesting the reverence that you should have of Allah? Al-waqar, the concept of waqar is respect, really, in its essence. Khashya is reverence. And waqar is respect. And all of these terms, when we talk about our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are very appropriate. So we must love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for many reasons. And we must fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of just punishment for sins. And we must revere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the combination of both, plus respect, which is tawqir, al-waqar. Al-waqar is to have respect to Allah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is important. No relationship works without respect. There is not one relationship that I can think of that would succeed without respect in it. I want you to think about that for a moment. Actually, the most important element within a relationship is respect. If you remove it, then there is not one relationship that will succeed. Nothing. Not between a parent and a child, or between a child and a parent, between siblings, between a teacher and a student and a teacher, and between colleagues, between an employer and an employee, between a mentor and a mentee, between a leader and a follower and a leader. There's not between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation, and between His creation and Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's not one relationship that works without respect. There has to be an amount of respect. For example, when you're dealing with children, I deal with children a lot, and younger people. You have to respect the potential of what they could be one day. I don't respect a 7-year-old. I respect what he could be, what she can be at one point. Because I don't know which of them is going to be the next Salah ad-Din. But I respect the potential of what they're able to become one day. I respect that. That's or else this is not going to work. If I don't respect that, if I don't respect what they have the potential of becoming one day, then I'm a horrible teacher and a horrible mentor. And actually, the worst teachers are the ones who don't have that in them. Like a teacher who does not see the potential in the kid and is not interested in actually harnessing that and helping and nourishing it and helping them find it, then he's not a teacher. And you've been in school and you know who has that in them and who doesn't, because they made you feel it immediately. If they feel that about you or they don't, you immediately feel that person has that belief. And that's what respect is. From the perspective of a teacher, that's what the respect is. For the parent, the same thing. You have to respect your children. Parents who don't respect their children are parents who end up bullying them in the long run. Under the umbrella of birr al-walidain, they end up bullying them. And then I have to be brought in to intervene and tell the parent that this is not your right. No, they're not going to study whatever you want them to study. You can't force them to marry this person. You can't force them to live in a certain place. This is not your right. But if you don't have respect for them, then they won't grow. They won't become actual full adults that are capable of independent life if they don't feel that they're respected by their parents. I see this. This is a complex, by the way. Men in their 40s who struggle because their father never respected them. Wallah, men who lack respect of their fathers can cause world wars. Wallahi al-azim. Yeah, you get a man whose father never respected him, and that man can ruin the whole planet, because it's such a difficult thing. We all crave just basic respect, just to feel that we're respected. Love and like and attraction, all that can come later. Wallahi, tuz and all of it. Don't need it. You just need respect. Spouses, if spouses don't respect each other, then it doesn't matter. You can't, I don't even use the word love without respect. I don't even know if that, what is that? What does that mean? I don't understand it. How do you love without respecting someone? How do you love? You can't love them if you don't respect them. You can't. It's not possible. What you feel is not really love. It's possession, it's ownership, it's attraction, it's maybe a certain degree of need. It's some twisted narcissistic problem, but it's not love. There has to be respect. And the relationship we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the same. Jalla Jalaluhu, He respects us. It's an interesting concept. The way we're shown respect is asjada lana al-malaika. He told the malaika, show them respect. He took the creations whom He loved the most, who were the most powerful and the most obedient to Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He gathered them all. He gathered them all. And He said, you will prostrate to Adam. You will show him respect. Why? Because that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees us. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. We have indeed elevated the rank of Bani Adam. We have given him great value. This is how Allah has respected you. And then you have to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the same degree of respect. Or much, it has to be waqar. مَا لَكُمْ, what's wrong with you? لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارِ. You show no respect to Allah. You walk this earth as if you own it. As if there is no accountability. As if you are going to be, you answer to no one. As if where's the respect? There's no respect. And there's a lack of respect in all of our relationships today. All of them. We don't respect our masajid. We don't respect the people who work in them. The people who work in them don't respect the people who are coming in. People coming in don't respect one another. See, we're lacking this basic, nothing else matters in relation. I don't care about anything else. Everything else, I can live without it. I can live without people, without someone liking me or loving me, but I can't live without them respecting me. It doesn't work. Just like you have to feel the same way. It's owed to you. This is a human right, to be treated respectfully, which is why we have the Charter of Human Rights. Which Rahmah is a basic part of our deen, because everyone is deserving and is worthy of that basic respect, of tawqir. And this is what Nuh alayhi salam hits upon in this khutbah. After he explains why he gave them the action that will serve all of them, that will grant them that which they want. See, a smart public speaker, a smart khatib will see, what do the people want? What are they looking for? And then help them get there. Give them that which will allow them to achieve their goals. The khatib has to know, what are people looking for? What are they searching for? What is it that they want to do? What is it holding them back from being better people? And then give them the solution. Here's the solution. Istighfar. Start there. And as a group, you'll get better. And he points out another problem. There's a lack of respect. You're not showing respect. I'm talking to you about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching, and you're not respecting. You're not taking the time to listen, to hear. If you don't take the time of day to listen to what's being said to you, that means you have no respect to what's being said. Right? You don't listen to people you don't respect. As you scroll, the person you don't respect, you just, I don't care. Don't care what he has to say, because I have no respect for him. This is a common, there's many politicians you feel that way towards. Don't respect them. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there has to be that degree of waqar. You have to have that tawqir of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where He speaks, you hit the brakes and you listen. And this is like one of the nice descriptions we have of Sayyidina Umar, right? So when they describe Sayyidina Umar, radiyallahu anhu, Amir al-Mu'mineen, كَانَ وَقَّافًا عِنْدَ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ, was one of the kind of most famous descriptions of him. Waqafan, meaning he would pause or stop. Kind of waqafan, he would always pause and stop عِنْدَ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ whenever something of the Quran was quoted to him. Meaning he would be going and talking, and he was a very dynamic person, and he made a lot of laws and a lot of rules, and he built he made the khilafah. There was no, at the same, Abu Bakr was only around for 2 years. He spent the whole 2 years just gathering the Muslims back again. After the Prophet ﷺ died, people didn't ridda, people decided not to pay zakah, people left. He had to bring it all back together. And then he passed away. Now the person that built the khilafah was Sayyidina Umar. He built it, he gave it its foundation. So he was building the foundation for it. And any time he said, Allah said this, he would hit pause. It was like he would hit his brakes. Okay, what did he say? Am I missing something? Because he's always scared. Did I miss something? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about what I'm doing here, and I missed that there was a piece of Quran that was teaching me about it. And he would listen. And we know the story where he was on the minbar and a lady called out to him. You know what the interesting story about this is? Interesting part about the story? Is that she was wrong and he was right. She was wrong and he was right. But he was the type of person that if you made an argument and he used the Quran, he was talking about muhur. He was talking about capping it at an amount, and then she gave she said, well, yeah, she made an argument of why it's not. So he said, I was wrong and the lady is right. And the fuqaha said, no, he was right and she was wrong. But his mentality was he was always holding himself. Maybe I missed something. Maybe someone else has a good point here. That was just how he was. Radiallahu anhu warda. It's waqar. مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونِ اللَّهِ وَقَارَ. Respect. And then Nuh alayhi salam explains to them why they have to have that respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is more science in these 6 verses, in this khutbah, than you would hear in a year on a minbar today. Listen to what he says. وَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا. And he created you in atwar. Atwar is stages. And he created you in stages. Stages, whether it's stages of the embryo or stages of creation altogether. I think it's from creation because that's what the ayat seems to be saying. وَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا. Indeed, he created you as creations in stages. أَلَمْ تَرَوْا. Have you not seen? Have you not contemplated or reflected? كَيْفَ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the cosmos identical. The 7 skies. See, طِبَاقًا can mean one on top of the other, but it can also mean identical, which is actually more of what it is, because the human being does not have the ability to see the levels of the heavens. No one has been seen that. Aside from Greek mythology, we don't even, there's really nothing, we haven't seen it. So what you can see, كَيْفَ خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا. سَبْعَ in Arabic means something that is endless. That is because everything that is 7 just like the days of the week, it just ends and it starts again. So 7 is a symbol in Arabic of continuity. Every letter and every number in Arabic has a symbol attached to it in terms of what it indicates. I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go through the numbers today. But sab'a it symbolizes infinity or continuity. So sab'a samawat meaning an endless sky. Like there's no point where it stops. Tibaqa, identical. It's all the same. There's no break in any of it. There's no part of it that's not functional. كيف خلق الله سبع سماوات طباقا وجعل القمر فيهن. And he made the moon within the heavens, within the skies. نورا, I put within it a light, a reflected light. وجعل الشمس سراجا. And he made the sun a glaring lantern, a fiery lantern. والله أنبتكم من الأرض نباتا. And Allah had أنبتكم is to grow you. Imbat is to grow. But he said here, أنبتكم من الأرض, he has grown you from the earth. He didn't say imbata. If he said imbata, then that would mean in Arabic that he growed you properly. See, in Arabic, when you give a verb and then you use the root of that verb after it, then you're just basically emphasizing the action. So, for example, akala, ate. If I say akala aklan, that means he really ate. This person sat down and it was a spectacle. People just watched this person. This is how you eat. Daraba is to hit something. Daraba darban, that means, this was a beating. This was like a complete ass whooping. So whenever you add the root of the letter afterwards, it emphasizes the essence of the verb. So if he said here, Wallahu ambatakum min al-ardi imbata, that would emphasize the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala growing us from the earth, right? But he didn't. He said nabata. Nabata, what is nabata in Arabic? Plant, right? Nabata is a plant. So he says, Wallahu ambatakum. And indeed Allah has grown you from the earth as a plant, nabata, as a plant. From these verses, the early scholars of Islam beat Darwin to talking about evolution by maybe 500 to 600 years. By 500, 600 years, Al-Jahid wa Ikhwan al-Safa wa ghayruhum min al-ulama, they talked about this way before he even thought about it. Way before. Al-Razi talked about it beyond being, but even went one step ahead of what Darwin said. They said elements they started from elements. Elements turned into life, life turned into water, he started from even before. They started the evolutionary thought worm even before life existed from elements. And I don't care, honestly, whether it doesn't matter to me. Science is about explaining the how. Science is about explaining the how. The who, we all agree to. We know who the who is. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Science is just here to tell us how things happen. Never be threatened by science. It's again, it comes from a lack of understanding, a basic understanding of Islam. If you get threatened by science, if you read an article and get, what's wrong? The who is never at question here. Nothing in science is even addressing even remotely, not even remotely, the who. Science, all it can do is explain the how. The how is something we're supposed to learn. That's why Nuh said, Alam taraw kayf? How? Do you not see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this? And the answer is how? How would people back in the first century of existence, of our existence, know? He's telling them, go look, go find out. Go study. Go figure out how he created these identical skies. Go look at how he put the moon there to reflect light for you, and how he made the sun just right so he can grant you energy. Yeah. Go find out the how. It's interesting. You see it here, and then you see it again in Ibrahim alayhi salam's story. The earliest prophets that we have. You find them, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ in Surat Ankabut, in the story of Ibrahim, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا كَيْفَ بَدَأَ الْخَلْقَ. Go walk on the earth and see how did he begin creation. Well, I'm going to find out how Allah began creation. Yeah, you can find out how he began creation. The how is beautiful. Actually, the more you understand the how, the more you have respect to the one who did it. That's how you respect the one who did it. Because you understand how. Once you understand the how, you're like, oof, this is insane. Because if it's just a magic wand and a zap, all right, Samir, you're there. Adnan, you're here. All right, that's a powerful wand you got there. But once you actually find, no, it's much more complicated than that. And you start understanding what went into producing all of this. And you study just molecular biology. And you start looking at organisms and how they function with one another, and how the ecosystems actually work, and how you stand in awe of whatever force put this into movement. Because this is absolutely, it's insane. I study cancers. We like to celebrate how far we've come today in this, we know nothing. We have scratched the surface of understanding cellular biology. We have just scratched the surface. We figured out maybe one or two receptors that work. And we made billions of dollars worth of drugs just to go after them. There are billions of other receptors in the cell that we have no idea how they work, or how they affect the actual cellular signaling, and how they affect cellular life and apoptosis. We don't know. We understand so little of how this actually functions. So little of it. And once we make a breakthrough, every couple of decades, we go a small breakthrough, we feel like we're sitting on the throne of knowledge in science. And then the complexity of one cell that exists inside, forgive me, a rat somewhere, will take the efforts of the human race just to comprehend what's going on. When you look at all that and you see it and you understand, then you have respect for whoever created this. Which is why he began the second part of the sermon. مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا. Why don't you respect Allah? Did you not see how he created these identical skies? Did you not see how he put the moon there for you? And the sun, just the right distance away from you, just the right size, to grant you just enough effect on the seas, and just enough energy so that life could exist. You don't see that. That's not interesting to you. You're not impressed by it. You understand that the sun was just a couple of meters closer, it would have burnt us to a crisp. And if it was just a little bit farther, we would have frozen. If the moon was a little bit bigger, the ocean would be way too rough for any life to exist, to sustain any form of life. It was a bit smaller, it would have not enough an effect for life to have begun. And the seasons would have been different, and everything would. He keeps on, وَاللَّهُ أَنْبَتَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ نَبَاتًا. He grew you like a plant from the ground. ثُمَّ يُعِيدُكُمْ فِيهَا. And then He will put you back in again as He did the first time. وَيُخْرِجُكُمْ إِخْرَاجًا. And He'll bring you. See, He uses a different term for resurrection. He doesn't use the term nabata, ambatakum. No, because that's life. Life was like a plant. It took billions of years for you to be here. But then resurrection is not like that. Resurrection is not a process of billions of years. Resurrection is ikhraja. He will extract you. He will put you back in the earth, and He will extract you the day He wants you back, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ بِسَاطًا. And Allah made this earth for you. A bisalt. Al-bisalt is a carpet. So what it means in Arabic, al-bast, is something that hasn't been spread out. So it's straight, it's flat. وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ بِسَاطًا. And Allah has made the earth for you a flat surface. لِتَسْلُكُوا مِنْهَا سُبُلًا فِجَاجًا. So that you may choose your pathways within it. Subul are pathways. Fijaja, al-fajj are valleys between mountains. So that you may find the valleys and find the pathways. So you can go from one place to the other. So you may immigrate and go to places that are better for you to live on. This is how Nuh alayhi salam gave his khutbah. This is what he said. To me, it's fascinating that the beginning of time, the prophet of the beginning of time, not the end of time, the beginning of time, looked at his people and said, what's wrong with you? Where's your respect? Are you not looking around you? Don't you see how Allah created? How He put the moon, how He put the sun, how He brought you from the earth, how He made the earth flat for you, how He gave you pathways to walk on it. None of that is, this is an active command, and a request to go and search and look deeper. The deeper you will look, the more respect you will have. The more reverence, more waqar for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you will have inside your heart. And this is I've never given anything like this. Ever. I wouldn't even know how. I wouldn't even know how to do it. Because if I did, and I said the wrong word regarding science, I'd be kicked out. What I'm saying right now, I'm saying it because the people here are listening to it. I can tell you a lot of people don't agree with most of it. They prefer the medieval approach of understanding God, understanding science, understanding. There was no fear in the early Muslims of science, ever. There was no fear. They were fearless. They studied everything in depth. They never held back. One of the silliest things in the world is for you to refuse a scientific theory because of a religious reason. Silliest thing ever. One of the worst judgments you can make. And it ruins your deen, by the way. And it makes you look petty. And it makes you look ignorant. Never refuse a scientific theory because of religion. Refuse it because of science. If it's scientifically, if it lacks soundness, if it's illogical, if it's irrational, something wrong, argue it scientifically. Science is just here to tell us how. We know who the who is. We know why. We know the what. We have those answers. Science doesn't touch those stuff. To imagine that the science will offer us a how that will somehow or some way destroy the who or the what or the why is just an irrational fear that comes from lack of knowing what is correct and what is not, and knowing what your Islamic narrative is. Not only should you go study, you should go study everything, fearlessly, relentlessly as Muslims. Fear nothing, because the one who made all of this is the one who sent this, and there will never be discrepancy between them. And the more you understand the how, the more you'll respect the who. The more you respect Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more likely it is that you will adhere to His value system. And if you adhere to His value system, it's more likely that you'll be able to perform istighfar appropriately. And if you can do istighfar more appropriately, then you will improve as a person, your life will get better. That's his khutbah. That's his khutbah. You started with what you should do in case you get bored after a few minutes, but then here you want to be able to actually perform istighfar, you have to respect God. How are you going to respect God? Go look at what He made. Go look at what He made. Alam taraw kayfa khalaqa Allah. Do that. Look at what He did. Look at how He created you, like a plant from the earth, and how He made the earth flat for you, and He gave you the pathways, and He put the sun, and He put the moon, and the identical skies, all that, so you look at that, and you figure out how He did it, and then you'll respect Him, and if you respect Him, then you can perform the first istighfar appropriately, and if you can do the first istighfar appropriately, and you'll improve, and then when you improve, your life will get better, and there you go. Everyone will be happy. You'll be happy and Allah will be happy with you and everything will work out. That's what Nuh alayhi salam came to tell God. This is what I told them. This is what I told them. They didn't listen to me, but that's what I told them. How can you argue against this? What sound mind would argue against a narrative like that? But that's the narrative that Nuh alayhi salam had. And I can tell you there's more science and more scientific thought in his small sermon of 11 verses than we would have in our ummah in a year amongst all the khutbah. And we've lost that piece. We've lost the ability to talk about it. We've lost the freedom to address it. We've lost the bravery to bring it up. And we've lost the attachment that we're supposed to have towards it, with it. And that saddens me a lot because it's so not authentic and it's so not what our deen actually is about. So I'll end with that, inshallah.